I've always loved history, and find out as much as I can. Growing up, loved it. Was always out in the fields, hunting, fishing in places, riding. So it was always right up my alley. I loved being on the ranch.
So, exploring these old copper mines, I noticed that it sounds like you've been through most of them.
I've been in a few of them, yeah. Don't get too far in. It can be a little dicey, so... but yes, I've looked around a few of them.
So, you went to school here in Mariposa?
No, I didn't. I actually went to graduate from high school over at Sierra High because I lived up in Oakhurst at the time.
The mining history here must have kind of been intriguing. Exploring these old mine shafts and the mining relics. There's still relics around here from historic mining operations. What was it like exploring?
Well, it was always fun. I always was poking around. As a young guy, I collected old bottles and was always looking for arrowheads. And my dad would always give me a hard time. He'd say I'd spent more time looking at the ground when I was riding than looking for cows. Because they nest in the bottom of this too.
What kind of nest?
Huh?
What kind of nest?
The owl's nest. Right, the barn owls. The story is we were marking and branding one day, and we were missing a calf. We knew one was gone. And so they sent me back out, and I'm riding, and as I ride by here, I can hear something down in the mine shaft. So I looked, and sure enough, there's a calf down in the bottom, falling in.
How far down is that?
Probably 30 feet, something like that, maybe a little more. Perfectly healthy, and so we went back, and we got a block and tackle and brought a pickup up, and put the block and tackle up in that tree, and put a rope around me, and lowered me in. And the calf had been there while hungry, so we put hay down too, and I took a rope with me, and the calf was going back in the tunnel portion, but had come out and tried to eat. And so finally I couldn't swing the rope, so I just laid the rope down, waited to come out, caught it by one foot, and then the rodeo was on, trying to handle a calf by 1 foot.
How much it was?
Probably 200 pounds or so at that time.
It was a big calf.
Pretty good sized calf. And so finally I got the rope around it. They pulled it up and got it out. Sent the rope back down, and I was glad to get out of there because it's kind of crumbly. Came back out, remembered I left the lariat rope down there, so they had to put me back down in to get it and bring me back up one more time. But yeah, that's the story of how...
Cowboy's life on Green Mountain is a little different.
Yeah. But that's the only one that I know of that we ever lost into a mine.
Michael, your family's been here for a time.
Yeah. A lot of the property, or portions of it, were homesteaded by my great-grandfather.
What was his name?
Lonzo Wright.
Lonzo.
Yeah, and he made his living as a saw filer at the sugar pine mill out of Oakhurst. And my grandfather and his 3 brothers were loggers out of sugar pine. And then my grandfather eventually went into the cattle business and put together the ranch, and at its peak was probably about 5,000 acres or so.
Okay.